Hey everyone, it's April and it's Autism Awareness Month. You know, it is so important that as a community, we understand what autism is and accept the kids with autism. Please note that I am not a doctor, but I'm just a parent of a child with autism. And I want to share with you things that I've learned through our family's journey. If you could take away one thing from this video, I hope that it's this. Kids with autism are not kids with bad behaviors. They're kids who don't have control of their behaviors. So please be patient with them and don't dismiss them as just bad kids. In 2020, the CDC reported that approximately 1 in 54 children in the United States have been diagnosed with an autism spectrum disorder. This is one of the fastest growing developmental disabilities in the United States. And I believe that it is imperative that we spend the time to try to understand what these kids are going through. I know we don't fully understand the disability, but let's do our part in trying to understand and just to love on these children. Because chances are, if you're not directly impacted by autism, somebody in your social circle is. So please take the next few minutes just to learn a little bit more about autism. Autism is a neurological developmental disability that can cause significant social, communication, and behavioral challenges. There's usually absolutely nothing about an autistic person's looks that will set them apart. But studies have found a brain overgrowth. The brain grows too large, too fast. They have found this overgrowth of brain cells in the frontal and the temporal lobe, which are crucial for social, emotions, communication, reasoning function, sensory input, including pain and auditory. With these extra brain cells, there's a miswiring, which is causing the inappropriate behaviors and reactions that we see. Let's talk about some behaviors you might see in kids with autism. But before I do, it's important to understand that just like all kids, each autistic child is so different. Dr. Stephen Shore said, if you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. And it's so true. Autism is not so cut and dry. They don't all fit into one box. So here's a list of behaviors we can see. Stuff like making sounds like humming or grunting, or my favorite, the high-pitched squealing, repetitive speech, skin rubbing or scratching, staring at objects or lining objects up, hand flapping, spinning, jumping, rocking back and forth, licking, or putting objects in their mouth. These things are called stemming. Stemming is a repetitive movement, sound, or a moving of objects. Did you know that we all have stems? Have you ever tapped your pencil, chewed on your nails, twirled your hair, even tapped your foot? These are all self-stimulating. The thing is, we know what is socially acceptable and we can control our behaviors. And for most of us, stemming only happens occasionally. But for people with autism, they find it really hard to stop. They are completely unaware of how others are responding to it. We don't fully understand why stimming happens, but it is a tool for self-regulation and self-calming. It mainly occurs when they're stressed or fearful, they're angry or excited, when they have strong emotions, or when they're overwhelmed by the sensory input like too much light or too much noise. person with autism described it like this: stemming improves my concentration. It's a release, like a sneeze or scratching an itch. You know, I have had an itch on my shoulder blade for weeks now, and it literally drives me crazy. I can't even focus. Sometimes it's so overwhelming that I literally have to stop everything that I'm doing, go search for my back scratcher and scratch it just so I can focus again. And I'm sure that that's probably what they're feeling inside, that overwhelming sensation that they just have to do something to try to calm themselves down so they can refocus. Another thing that autistic children experience are tics. Tics are defined as sudden, repetitive, non-rhythmic motor movements or vocalizations involving discrete muscle groups. Examples are clapping hands, neck stretching, mouth movements, leg and arm jerking. Vocal tics would be clearing the throat or sniffing, grunting. Tics just happen, like a sneeze or a blinking of the eye. They have no control over them. So the last thing we're going to talk about today are triggers. We all have triggers, but kids with autism have more triggers that cause their challenging behaviors. Because they have trouble understanding what's happening around them or understanding other nonverbal social cues, and sometimes they just don't have the effective communication themselves to relay their wants or their needs. Common triggers can also be a change in their routine, or transitioning from one activity to the next, or sensory sensitivity, touching something that they don't like, or not being able to touch something that they do like, or sensory overload, when there's just too much going on around them, or even certain noises. These are just a few triggers, but keep in mind that all children have different triggers. If you could take away one thing from this video, I really hope that it's this: that kids with autism are not kids with bad behaviors. They're kids that don't have control of their behaviors. So please be patient with them and don't dismiss them as just bad kids. There are different therapies out there that help improve their communication and social skills. They target different behaviors and work on rewiring their brains so they have more appropriate and socially accepted behaviors and reactions. But this process does not happen overnight. It takes time. So please be patient with them, love on them, and encourage them. And if this video has touched you at all, please like and share it and spread awareness and acceptance.